We can now bring in France 24's Shirli Sitbon. Shirli, great to see you. Talk us through some of the main threats of the Zaporizhzhia site.
Well, we know that the reactors are off now. They're not producing any more electricity. That was the first measure that was taken because the situation was so dangerous when Russia took control of the area and when the fighting started. The IAEA said right away that all fighting had to stop. They alerted again and again, but nobody listened, not the Ukrainians and not the Russians. The fighting continued. The situation is still very risky, of course. And now when the population, a part of the population is being evacuated, well, that's actually a bad sign because this means something can go for the worst in days and weeks to come. So everyone has to be cautious. What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, one of the things is what was said in this report, the fact that power lines can be cut. You know, the reactors are off, but there's still a lot of material inside that needs to be cooled off all the time. Otherwise, it can just overheat and can eventually explode and radiation could come out of the site. So that's the worst case scenario. It happened 6 times already. And what happens then when the electricity no longer comes in and cannot cool down the reactors? Well, then they have to use generators, diesel generators. There's about 20 of them on the site, and they can only function for about 2 weeks' time. So the situation is really precarious, and we don't want to go there because then the situation becomes really complicated to manage.
It is a difficult situation because the area is controlled by Russia, but the staff working inside are Ukrainian, and the number of staff have been cut down.
Exactly, which makes the situation even more stressful, as if it was not stressful enough already. There are less people. There's more and more precarious, as I said, with these power lines continuously being cut off when there's a bombing. And of course, so the number of people working there is now down to the minimum. Russia says that there are enough people, enough personnel to maintain security, and there's no concern to have. That's what the Russians controlling this site, occupying this site, are saying. But the IAEA has warned in its latest message when it said that we need to be preoccupied by the situation. Something must be done right away. We can't let the situation degenerate this way. They said at the end of that message, the number of employees on the site has kept going down throughout the year, and now it's down to really the minimum. And there is a concern of what could happen on this site. As I've said, this was a warning saying that we're taking too many risks. That's what the head of the IAEA is saying. We can't just roll the dice every time. One day we may not be lucky, and there could be a catastrophe.
And there is a lot of speculation going around about what could happen. Theoretically.
Yes. There's a lot of speculation. We can't say everything because, it goes around in the media and the Ukrainian media. But Newsweek also reported that some media outside of Ukraine have also been saying that, well, for example, one information that was given from Ukrainian media quoting the IAEA, we don't know if that is true, that the Russians would have put explosives around the site. We don't know if that's true. The British Defense Ministry says that Russia is getting ready to fight in that area, that it's putting sandbag fighting positions on the roofs of a number of reactor buildings. So those are, bits and facts we've been hearing around, and this is a real concern because this nuclear site, this plant, is the first one when there's actual fighting, an actual war around the site. And now it's actually at the heart of the strategy, both for Russians and Ukrainians. Both fighting there. This is strategic. And now it's at the heart of the actual fighting. And the IAEA says that we need to be extra cautious. Some experts are saying, well, these reactors, they're walls that are 1 meter, large. It's pretty unlikely that radiation will come out of there. But the IAEA says, no, we need to.
Don't take chances.
We can't be over optimistic about this. This is serious, and there's a real risk. It's extremely dangerous. It needs to stop now.
Shirley, thank you very much for that. Shirli Sitbon there.